Hey guys, hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to remote learning for Monday, 9/21. So reminder that tomorrow is our test, and if you didn't get the two assignments from last week turned in, that was the slave trade research and the vocab map that you need to get them in as soon as possible. But tomorrow is our test, so that we need to make sure that we spend today reviewing and studying as much as we can. So normally we would do a quizzes or a live quiz session. So instead of that, I'm just going to post a practice test that you guys can take whenever you want. And then I am going to walk us through the, let me fix the camera real quick. I'm going to walk us through the study guide to make sure that everyone has the correct answers for the study guide, and so that we can best be prepared for the test. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I have the study guide pulled up on my iPad and I have put all of the correct answers in. So let's go ahead and walk through that. So the first thing that we need to go through is the uh, Chapter 1, Section 1 Atlas. So this was when we were talking about geography and population. I believe this was on September 1st. So if you go back, I'll link the videos for all of these that we went through. So question 1, notable and major physical features in West and Central Africa. So we have one lake, which was Lake Chad, and then two rivers, which were the Niger River and the Congo River. Next, we have what climates are in West and Central Africa. So we have tropical wet, which are in rainforests, tropical wet and dry, which were on the north and south of the rainforest. Then in the south, we had grasslands, and then we had semi-arid in the Sahel and arid in the Sahara Desert. Number 3, what natural resources are in West and Central Africa? We had mining for copper, gold, oil, and diamonds, as well as hydroelectricity. So we need to make sure that we know those 4 resources as well as hydroelectricity. Next we had number 4, what are cities and large populations most likely to be located near? So this would be along rivers and coasts. So we talked a lot about how a lot of the population will group towards places where there are large bodies of water. So in West and Central Africa, that would be rivers and coasts because there's only one major lake. And then to finish up this section, we had the 2 diseases in West and Central Africa and the insects that cause them. So we have one was the sleeping sickness, which was caused by the tsetse fly, and then malaria, which was caused by mosquitoes. Okay, the next section was our first part on history. So this was when we had that BBC article talking about Mansa Musa and the ancient kingdoms of West and Central Africa. So question 6 is what 3 kingdoms dominated West Africa from 700 AD to 1600 AD? So that would be ancient Ghana, Mali, and Benin. The next question is what 2 resources made the kingdoms of West Africa very wealthy? In the article, it says gold, and when we answered it on the worksheet, it was gold. But when we talk about these kingdoms later, we also talk about the salt trade, so we need to know gold and salt. Right, now we talked a lot about Mansa Musa because he was very important in this area, and so question 8 is how many people traveled with Mansa Musa during his pilgrimage? And that would be 72,000. So 60,000 men and 12,000 slaves. So you can know either 60,000 and 12,000 or just 72,000 on its own. And then number 9, who came back to the Mali Empire with Mansa Musa after his pilgrimage? So a lot of people went on his pilgrimage with him, but some people came back that weren't there before, and that would be Arab teachers and architects. The next section is when we did our timeline. So we have 6 different historical events, and what we need to do is put the historical events from West and Central Africa in chronological order, or from which one started first and which one came second, and so on. So we have trade begins with Europeans, Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca, Ghana Empire rules Africa, Africa, and so on. But in correct order, it would be the Ghana Empire rules Africa and controls salt trade. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca. Trade begins with Europeans. Atlantic slave trade exists. Europeans colonize all of Africa, and then finally independence from Europeans, which will bring us to modern day, which were the last two sets of notes we did. So these were Chapter 1, Section 3, West and Central Africa today. So we started talking about the challenges, so we need to know the economic challenges and the political challenges. So the economic challenges, there were two major ones that we talked about. One was corruption, which is the use of power for personal gain. So it keeps most of the people poor, while very few in the country are rich. And then we have subsistence farming, which is only growing enough food to eat, and you can't sell enough for profit. So we have lack of farmland, and people can't afford heavy machinery and equipment, which are the two ways that we see subsistence farming exist in West and Central Africa. Now for the political challenges, we had a number of political problems and one serious challenge. So the problems were nations cut across ethnic groups, weak economies, tension over scarce resources, but the main thing that we need to remember is the rule of dictators. There was one dictator that we talked about at length, and that would be Joseph Mobutu. So number 13, who ruled over the Democratic Republic of the Congo as a dictator? And how long was he in power? That is Joseph Mobutu, and he ruled for 32 years. Okay, now this is the last set of notes. So we talked about their culture and their hope for the future. So what three religions exist side by side in West and Central Africa? So we can see their traditional religions, which we would see in our Mass, and then Islam, which came back with Mansa Musa, and then Christianity, which came through the Europeans. So number 15, almost done. What is an example of traditional and modern culture blending together in West and Central Africa? So we can see this in a couple of ways, but the main way would be through West African hip hop, which would blend modern music with traditional rhythms. So they would take a popular artist like Drake or whoever is your favorite hip hop artist right now, and it would be them rapping over more traditional drum beats from West Africa rather than the computer generated synthesized ones that you might see more in modern American music. Number 16, what is the African Union, which is one of our vocab words, and what three things does the African Union do? So the African Union was organized, or was an organization formed in 2002 to promote unity among African states, foster development, and end poverty. So one way it fosters development is through fighting to end poverty through economic plans and free trade agreements, sending peacekeepers to ensure that there is not too much fighting in African countries when it comes to civil wars or political uprisings. And then it works with international organizations to help better the community. This would be through things like the WHO helping vaccine research, or things like the Red Cross supplying aid in the form of food, electricity, education, any number of things. Our last question is, what are 4 key factors for promoting development in West and Central Africa? So that would be democracy, women's rights, developing infrastructure, and developing social services are the 4 key factors that foreign aid found for promoting development in the area. The last question is just study the vocab map or your Quizlet. So if you have 1 through 17 done, you have essentially all the answers for the test besides the vocab. So going through this, making sure you have all the right answers, and making sure that you have your vocab map or your Quizlet that you can go through, you will be, for sure, you can be perfectly prepared for this test. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. I am available through Canvas. You can send me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I know that you guys will all do great. don't worry too much. This is our first test. We've done some quizzes. This is our first test, but I know you guys are going to do just fine on it. Okay, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye.